Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video, we're going to be building from scratch an SCX24 Injora rock buggy, which is kind of like a mini Capra style crawler. I'm going to talk about a lot of, basic, SCX24 installation builds, so you can kind of fast forward through some of that if you want. It's going to be a long video. And then we're going to get to the finalized product, which is the SCX24 Injora rock buggy. And I'm going to run through all the parts and then do a course run just so you can see how the end product worked out. And remember, guys, definitely this is a new channel, so definitely like and subscribe. That'll really help out. Okay, guys, we're going to be starting a new build here today. It's going to be the Injora rock buggy, which is basically like a mini Capra style build. We're going to be building that from scratch. We have mostly all Injora parts, Injora shocks, Injora steering links, Injora high clearance links. We are using stock Axial SCX24 axles. We're using Injora brass weighted parts, and Injora metal transmission, and Injora Pro motor. We're going to be using the Mofo UPW Wheels. I love those wheels because you can use the brass wheel weights in the front to make the front of the rig heavier, and use the stock rings that it comes with in the back, and kind of give you a higher gain on your incline climbs. We also are going to be using the Fly Sky receivers because they are a lot smaller than the stock receivers that come in the SCX24, so it's going to give me a lot more space. I've seen a lot of people having trouble with the space inside rock buggy builds online, so I'm going to try to use a smaller receiver. And we're going to be also using I'm still waiting on it in the mail, but we're going to be using the Furitek Lizard Pro ESC. Okay, the first thing I'm going to be doing, I have the stock Axial axles here. I'm going to be adding brass parts for extra weight down low on these Injora brass parts. I'm going to be adding also the brass steering knuckles on the front axle here also. And go and start on the back first. Now make sure you add another bearing to the new brass Injora cover that you're installing, diff cover, which also it comes with the Injora kit. And that just fits right in there. Also make sure that there's a decent amount of grease in here, which there already is. You might have to add more if it's not already in there. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and use the stock screws from the stock Axial axle because I like the black coating on those. I don't want the chrome coating to show. These Injora brass weights add quite a bit of weight to the bottom of the vehicle. It's actually pretty amazing being that they're so small. Make sure you don't screw these down too tight and strip your screws. And remember, you're screwing into plastic, so you don't want to strip out the plastic over here either. Okay, that's installed. Looks good. Put that aside. Remove the steering link, which I'm going to replace also with a Injora aluminum steering link. You also have your ESC tray here. I'm also still waiting on my Emaxx metal servo tray to come in the mail. So once that's in, I'll be replacing this plastic one with the Emaxx one. Actually, I like using the plastic stock axles on my builds because the plastic slides over rocks very easy. You don't see any scratches. Sometimes when you use the metal ones that are aluminum or brass, the paint or just chips off you know, on the axles, which on the black plastic you just can't see that. Everything is greased up inside. Go ahead and get your other bearing. Place that inside the new metal Injora. Go ahead and place this cover. And reinstall your screws. Remember the long screws at the top. Okay, that's installed, looks good. Now we're gonna go ahead and take off the steering knuckle here. Gonna have to get the tool, remove this wheel nut. And remove your hex. pin here. And slide out this piece, and you're going to have to remove your bearing and place it into your new knuckle. There's going to be two of them, one on each side. Once the first one's out, you can probably push down, knock the other one out. Place those into the new knuckle. There we go, perfect fit. Place the rod back through. And the pin back in, and I'll probably be switching to the 4mm extended Injora hexes, but at the moment I'm not sure. It's according to how everything looks and how wide I want the vehicle. So I'm going to leave the stock hexes in for now. Okay, just line up this slot with the slot in the axle. Once that's in, make sure to put these screws in, but don't tighten them down too tight. Otherwise, your steering links won't be able to turn. Okay, both steering knuckles are installed, as well as the brass diff cover. So the next step will be the aluminum steering links. Okay, next we're gonna install our steering. So we will need these small gold bearings, and we'll put the rubber stoppers on. Put the one closest to the large end of the bearing first, starting at the low end. Go ahead and do two of these. This part that has the raised end for the other link to go into will go on top, facing upwards. And make sure the top portion, the heavy, bigger portion, is at the top of this link when you put it in, so that it won't slide out. And just go ahead and lock that in with the other band on the bottom. Place the other one in. Like so. And this will screw onto the front two steering links here. our steering. There needs to be on the bottom portion of these screws, they will slide out while you're driving, even though they from all the turning, the screws just come loose, so they provide an extra nut to screw on the bottom of here. I'm gonna leave it off for now until I get closer to the end of this build, but I'll add some Loctite to the bottom of this screw to make sure that the bolt won't fall off, because even with the bolt on, occasionally they fall off. Once I add my servo and the new tray, I'll go ahead and add this other portion of the steering link. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and install the high clearance links to the axles. The shorter ones are going to be the front, the long ones are going to be the rears, going to the rear axles, and this Injora kit comes with all the bearings and rubber bands that you need to hold everything together here. These are somewhat self-explanatory, and there's a lot of videos online on how to do this. I'm going to skip past this part and just kind of show you the completed product once it's done. Oh, and also I'm going to go ahead and install these Trill metal drive shafts. They're just connected to your axle housing right here with one bolt. Okay, I got most of the high clearance links installed on the rear, 2 installed on the front bumper, but I need to add these other 2 to the servo plate once that comes in the mail. And so the next portion here is just linking all of this to the this main portion of the body, the skid plate here. Okay, skid plate is installed, links are there. Now we just have to put the body together and add the rest of the pieces to the body. We have the Injora rock buggy body. We have a few plastic pieces here. Basically what we're going to do first is install the screws on the body, like so. This tab is going to go on the outside here. This tray goes into these 2 holes here. Okay, that full side is installed. Now we just get the opposite side, place that on, and Okay, at that point everything is screwed in, so basically just lock everything down. There we go. Frame is done, and it's actually, it seemed quite flimsy when it's loose, but once it's put together, it seems pretty sturdy. So the next step will be adding the motor to the other portion of the body that I made. And so basically I would add the motor, then attach everything in one portion to the frame of the rock buggy. Okay, now I just got through testing my ESC and my Injora motor to make sure everything's running right. And there's a break-in period on these brand new motors you gotta do. Basically, you run it about a minute reverse and a minute frontal. I have a video describing all of that. I'll link in the description toward the end of this video. And basically, there's a whole install on that video on how to link up the Furitek Lizard Pro to the FlySky remote and this FlySky receiver, which this receiver is a lot smaller than the stock SCX24 receivers. And you know, those larger receivers can give you a problem when you're placing all those things inside of something this small. Here's the FlySky remote. These are only about 40 bucks on Amazon. They have like a full screen, a lot of different settings and everything. It's pretty cool for $40. Now I'm going to be putting together this Injora all-metal transmission and adding the Injora Pro motor to that transmission. Looks like I'll have to remove this gear to get to the screw where the motor goes. You might be able to do it without removing the screw, but I don't. It looks kind of tight there. No, I think I'm gonna actually have to remove this. Looks like Injora has gotten really good about giving everybody some extra screws, and you know, that's pretty good because, you know, a lot of companies just give you the exact right amount of screws that you need, and you'll drop something and it's kind of game over from there if you don't have extra screws. And of course, when screwing this back on, make sure you don't screw it on too tight. Leave a little bit of slack so you can slightly move the gear around. That's the #1 killer of motors, is over tightening that bolt and killing your motor. Okay, on the transmission, 1 screw on the top into the skid plate and 2 screws in the bottom. Okay, transmission and motor are now installed on the skid plate. Go ahead and add the drive shafts here. Okay, now it's time to mount the rock buggy body to the frame here. Looks like there's some small slots that line up here and screws here. Okay, all the links mounted to the body, and this is starting to take form. This drive shaft in the front is still loose because I still need to connect these top 2 links, and now it's time to add the suspension. Here we have the Injora suspension. The black springs it comes with are the softest. The silver springs are the medium. and the Capra springs are the stiffest. Normally I run through different trowels with each one of these. Right now I'm thinking for sure we're gonna go with either the soft or the medium. These are pretty stiff. I'll put them aside for now on the Capra ones. I think I'm gonna try out the black first. Okay, the Injora Buggy also came with a battery holder and some 3M Velcro tape, and those are to put on the receivers, the battery, and the ESC. Basically, almost everything is put together. Right now, I actually removed the actual springs that came with the Injora shocks, which were some good springs, but the lowest black spring, even the softest ones, were a little bit too stiff for what I wanted right now. So I had some leftover springs from the RC Lions that were a little bit softer from some older RC Lion springs I had on another rig. So I'll try these out, and sometimes I end up having to cut them if I want them to be a little bit shorter. But you know, we just got to play with everything once everything's put together and do a test run. For now, we're just gonna attach the battery holder. Now I'm gonna go ahead and install the doors, hood, and roof using the screws that Injora provided for those parts. I installed all the electronics. The ESC is velcroed onto the bottom of the hood along with the Bluetooth. The receiver is on this side, and I installed the light bar, ran the wiring through the cage, under the seating, and into the receiver channel 3. The throttle will be channel 2 on the Fly Sky receiver, and the steering servo will be channel 1. Again, there's a link I'll add at the end of the video on installing the Fly Sky receiver and remote. Okay guys, these are the Mofo RC UPW wheels. I love these wheels because You can customize the front any colors you want, you know, chrome, aluminum, black. The wheels themselves can be customized, chrome, aluminum, black, and the real good thing about these is they, like this aluminum ring is pretty lightweight. It doesn't add a lot of weight, and I usually use these in the rear, you know, of my vehicle, the rear two wheels. But then on, you know, Mofo RC's site, you can get these brass wings, and these are extremely heavy. I put these in the front two wheels only just to give it more front end weight so it don't flip over when you're climbing up steep hills. You can also get you know, 0mm, 3mm, or 6mm extensions to go on the back of these wheels. I mean, they're great, fully customizable wheels. I love these things. Basically, there's a video I'll link in the description that will show you step by step how to install these wheels. It's a little bit of work, and definitely use Loctite when screwing on these front wheels. Okay, I have all the wheels mounted to the tires, the UPW wheels, and I went ahead and vented the back of the tires using a hot paper clip method of the stove that I use. I also have these DJX hex nuts, lug nuts to put the wheels on with. So I'll, you know, these UPW wheels are actually kind of hard to get some of the hex nuts in sometimes, the larger ones, and these make it a lot easier to do. And I'll come back to you when I have all the wheels installed. Alright guys, we pretty much finished up here. I added my servo, which was the Emaxx Servo. All suspensions added, everything's done. The Mofo RC wheels are done. This thing came out very beautiful, guys. I can't wait to get it on the course and show everybody how it performs. The flex is pretty amazing on this thing. Let's see here, get 4 tires easily on that deal. That's pretty insane, guys. The level of flex you can get out of this thing. And you know, just like a lot of other YouTubers have said, it's extremely hard to get that interior in here with all your electronics, even with the Fly Sky receiver that's half the size of the stock SCX24 receiver. I could not really get the electronics in here in a functionable manner. Like, I could stuff things in there, but you wouldn't be able to get to your ESC and turn the switch on in an easy manner. So I mean, I left the battery in the back battery compartment. I velcroed the transmitter right here on the transmission mount, and I velcroed the ESC to the bottom portion of the roof, where you could easily get to the switch right here. But all in all, you know, I don't really care if the interior's in there or not. I mean, the thing looks beautiful. I love the way it came out. Suspension works great. And I'll do a course run for you guys here. Okay guys, I hope you like the full install and the crawl on the course. So definitely remember, like and subscribe and stay tuned for other future videos.